Hi, welcome back to the Law&Crime Network. I am Kenney Baden. I will be your host for the next hour. We have been covering, we have been glued to, we have been monitoring, we have been listening to the story about this poor young child. Her name was Sharon Mathews. She was 3 years old when she was found dead in a garbage bag in a culvert. Her dad, Wesley Mathews, he has admitted that she died because of something he didn't do, even though he's told a lot of stories about what he did do and didn't do. Well, he admitted it, so he's now in what we call the penalty phase, where the jury gets to decide whether he's going to go home and sleep in his own bed on his own pillow, or whether he has to go to jail for his life for the death of his adopted. There it is. We're in Texas. They get to hold the pictures in front of the jury, of the adopted daughter, and there she is. So we are monitoring the courtroom. It was breaking news that he is going to testify in the defense case. The defense case. Gene, Rossi, you are my guest. I am so excited you're here. You make this terrible case at least something that we can learn from and talk about because of your insight. Welcome, Gene.
It's good to be here. And this is a great day for being a legal and trial analyst, I can tell you that.
Yes, it is. We're covering so many trials, but right now we're focused on this because a defendant, again, is going to take the stand. Now, Gene, this is different than when a defendant takes a stand on a guilt phase. He has said to the judge, but we don't know the specifics, that he, by omission, has caused the death of this child that he adopted from India. Now, if you are the prosecutor and you are going to cross-examine him, how would you go about it and what would your focus be?
You want to know something? I'm looking at his video. I'm looking at his video, and I believe in going outside the box. I would let the defendant talk as much as he wanted, and as a cross-examiner, I would err on asking more open-ended questions, because this guy is a BSer. I can tell right now he's going to get on the stand and he's just going to make stuff up. And the more he talks, the deeper his hole's going to be. And he's going to talk his way into a maximum sentence. Trust me.
Well, Gene, guess what? The first defense witness is on the stand. Let's see how the defense is going to go about it to say, yes, he should be sleeping in his little pillow. Okay, so the defense has begun their case in the penalty phase for the death of 3-year-old little girl Sharon Williams. Her father's on trial. Gene Rossi. Okay, I'm sorry, Mathews. Gene Rossi. Okay, you know, these cases sometimes get me so upset. I'm just like, you know, and I'm sure the jury is like that too, Gene. But let me ask you this. This is Dr. Minnie Thomas. She is an urgent care doctor, and she talked about the joy the parents had, but the child ends up dead. So is there a public face to somebody who's an abuser? Can we look at someone and say, oh, you, Wesley, you're a nice guy. You really didn't do this on purpose? Or does an abuser show himself or herself?
Never. Never.
Wow. Why?
Well,
Why?
Maybe not never, but I'd say 9% of the time, an abuser, a rapist, a serial killer, they are so narcissistic that they have a double life. They have double images. And behind closed doors, they're monsters, but in the public, they're angels.
But I don't understand, Gene. How do you adopt a child, try to save her life, and then and you go to all these doctor's appointments, and then whatever happened that where he's going to tell us happened, she ends up dead under a year? I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me as I'm a juror?
I think what happened here, just looking at the case, is they adopted Sharon, this beautiful girl, and as she got older, in the defendant's mind, she wasn't the perfect baby, the perfect child, the perfect infant that he wanted. And she had one of her eyes was not aligned. Maybe she had emotional issues, but he wanted a perfect child. And that, I know we discussed this briefly in our chatter about the photos on the wall. I get it. If you have a living room and you only have one of the two children's photos on the wall, you basically have said the other one is dead to me. And well, that's what happened.
Gene, let me just say to you, you are just, I mean, you get me so riled up that I have to take a break and consider what you just say. Somebody is dead to me, the father said. We'll be right back after this message. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, Gene Rossi, I'm a defense attorney, okay, now, and I was a prosecutor. I think that was like a witness. If I had to grade him for the defense of effectiveness, I'd say minus 50. How about you, Gene? Because what I saw is that he explained why the church may not have been involved, that we were all shocked. Okay, I get that. And then the prosecution laid out the whole case. And the defense attorney comes back and says, well, you know, people lie, right? People do this, right? People make mistakes, right? Minus 50 or minus 100, Gene? God, now you're laughing. I know. It's
I'm not laughing at the facts.
No, I know. It's like you want to pull your hair out.
Let's put it this way. The defense attorney is in a very difficult situation.
No doubt.
His client has already pleaded guilty to a horrendous crime, and he's avoiding the death penalty. And now he's trying to persuade the jury to kind of ignore what really happened and show some mercy for his client.
Well, can I stop you right there? At the very end, okay? When the defense gets up, my thing would have been, you're a man of the church. God in the Bible, God, Jesus Christ had mercy. When Cain killed Abel, he had mercy, threw just him out of the Garden of Eden and put him in the land of Nod. When you know, we forgive, we go to church, we forgive. Why do you then ask all the questions that the prosecutor, Jason Fine, like hit a home run?
You know what? I got to tell you this. I don't go to church as much as I should, but here's the problem with calling somebody from the church. They called two. It reinforces that this defendant who goes to church, who teaches the Bible and reads the words of the good book and tries to convey it to young children, what did he do? He did everything the good book told you not to do. He tortured, he murdered, he mutilated his own daughter. So I think that just reinforces the dichotomy in this case and makes his conduct look even worse.
And Gene Rossi, that is why you were a great federal prosecutor for over 30 years and has a war room named after you, because all you need for TV is that summation. We have to take a quick break. We will be right back in the case of Texas versus Wesley Mathews. Okay, Gene, I do have pity because there are other victims, even though they're alive, family members, and I always say that. But Gene, okay, let me ask you this, all right? All those pictures of all those happy people, there's a dead child that should just be blackboarded, erased out of those pictures. Is this effective to show the pictures when you have the beautiful child's picture in Texas, as we know, stays there all the time?
Well, first off, I don't know how it's not reversible error to have photos of the victim in front of the judge the whole trial.
We discussed that in Texas. I objected when we had Judge Birmingham on from afar in New York. He overruled it because in Texas it's allowed.
You know what? Blow me over with a feather. That's allowed in Texas.
All right, but let's ask you here. Here you have the brother testifying. He's trying to say mercy for you know, well, mercy, period. He's trying to say mercy for the living person, not for the dead person. What do you do when you're the prosecutor, Gene?
I think the prosecutor's doing a great job. If he does cross like he did before, he goes through those same questions. You know, what would be you know, it's very, very rare for someone to do this. Shouldn't they get the maximum punishment? So what he's going to do during cross, the prosecutor, is use their witness to help prove his case that he should get mandatory life or should get life.
Okay, Gene, I think your prosecutor Fine is absolutely doing fine, but I have several questions to you. When I listen to this, okay, and I asked this before, do you think something doesn't make sense to me about the wife? Do you think she's a domestic violence victim, a cooperator? Did he take the blame all the way for her, even though she may have been involved? At least the police thought that because he wanted his daughter to be raised by a natural father. Did he kill by omission or commission, or is he just an abusive maniac and you can't tell by looking at him?
Well, you know who could possibly have the answer to that is the pediatrician who in July of 2016 reported their family to Child Protective Services, because I doubt very seriously that that defendant was the one who brought Sharon to the pediatrician. I'm sure it was the mother, and the mother was probably asked questions. Why does Sharon look underweight? Why does she look tired? Why does she look lifeless? There were probably red flags and loud gongs in that examination in July 2016 that the mother obviously knew about. So you're right. She could have Fifth Amendment problems. She could be an enabler. We don't know, though.
Okay, Gene, we're going to take a break. But when we come back and we get another chance to discuss, I'm going to ask you whether you think the mother, the wife, will testify so that her husband gets mercy. And remember, there were 5 or 6 broken bones on this child at that time. Let's go to break. Okay, so that was the defendant's brother. The defendant, Wesley Mathews, is on trial for killing his adopted daughter. His daughter, because adopted is irrelevant in this situation. And then putting her body in a bag in a culvert. He is now letting the jury decide his penalty. Gene Rossi, you just said to me when Prosecutor Fine was cross-examining the brother, you didn't like the harshness. Why?
He didn't need to do it. I didn't see the purpose in why he did it. And whatever goal he was trying to reach, he came up short.
Well, let me ask you this. It seems to me there had to be a past history with the brother and the law enforcement and the police. Don't you agree?
Yes, but you don't. Here's what a prosecutor has to avoid: letting your personal animosity towards a witness affect your strategy and tactics in a trial. You can't allow that to happen. You have to be dispassionate. And he kind of let his personal animus towards his brother get the best of him. I did not like it.
All right, that's interesting because I had the same reaction at the end, and I think this prosecutor has done brilliantly in terms of this penalty phase. But I have another question to ask you, Gene. Will the wife, will the missus, will the mother of Sharon, who was 3 years old when she died, do you think she can take the stand now that the state has dropped all the charges against her?
No. Because,
why?
Well, you're saying they dropped the charges.
Yeah.
I'm sure the charges were dropped without prejudice, which means that the government can bring them back. And now, if she takes the stand in the defendant's favor in this sentencing hearing, then the prosecutor, who's doing a very good job, except for the last witness, then I would approve and endorse him being very aggressive with the wife, because he knows a lot of what was going on in that house, and he probably knows in intimate details what that mother, that wife knew. And the more I think about it, I can't help but believe that the wife of this defendant didn't condone what he did. I can't help but believe that did not happen.
And the jury may be thinking of that too. Now, he is going to take the stand. He told the judge, okay? And we expect him to take the stand. Probably not today, obviously, because, you know, courts don't like to work past 5 o'clock, but probably tomorrow. So obviously you have to stay here to Law&Crime because only we are covering this case. But I have another question for you, okay? He had 2 interviews with the police, okay, that our viewers have seen. 2 different stories. He is going to get on the stand. Now, I was here today when the medical examiner testified. The medical examiner said the kids' insides have been eaten by, you know, maggots. It's kind of not good testimony, all right? All right? But there was no animal activity testified to in the bag, which means she died someplace else. So could that someplace else be where the wife was?
Yes. She
oh,
probably
gosh, tell me why.
Because it's similar to that case we had from, I think, Wyoming, or remember Cheyenne? The husband and wife, Cheyenne was the mother. They basically let one of their children die, and they didn't care for the child.
Right. Right. Oh, in the swing, and the baby was just sitting in the swing with the diapers. Oh my God, that was so disgusting.
Here's what happens when you don't have love and affection for a child, and you don't have the guts to take its life instantly, which he didn't have. He let her die from torture and neglect and abuse. And I wouldn't be surprised if for 3 or 4 weeks, they starved her to death.
Oh my God, Gene, the court is taking a 5-minute break. Probably they'll come back and discuss what will happen next in scheduling. But the thought, as this jury is looking at those pictures there again, in Texas, they're allowed to stay there and the jury can see them. And for the defense to then say, well, maybe, she was non-viable, I think it makes it worse for him when he asks for, forgive me, God, mercy.
Right. I mean, the cross-examination of him is going to be priceless. Because if I were the prosecutor, I'd go through the 2 months before she passed away, the month before, the week before, 2 days before. I'd ask how much you were feeding her. I'd say, were you going to the pediatrician? Why was the pediatrician raising concerns? I would go crazy on cross.
Well, Gene, we will see it tomorrow. You and I, though, have to stay around because we have Aaron Keller up next with the Daily Debrief, and he will then report on what's happening in that courtroom. But this is a case, Texas. Wesley Mathews, 3-year-old Sharon, adopted dead, here only on Law&Crime. I am Linda Kenney Baden. I will be back tomorrow at 3. Stay tuned for Aaron.